Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Maudie. If you're new here, I'm really glad you're here. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about how I plan for big grocery shopping trips. As some of you know, you can see in my previous videos, I do pretty big grocery shopping hauls at a time because I have a fairly large family. Although after being on the internet for quite some time, I don't consider my family like super large, maybe largish, if that's a word, but definitely not huge. Um, anyway, it still takes a lot of planning and a lot of just intention on preparing to feed a large crowd. So today I'm going to go over just a few tips that I have that I use personally on how to manage all that. So I have some notes written down. So if you see me looking down, I'm just going to kind of go through my notes. And that is another thing. I'm a big note taker. I take notes. I write everything down. I do make notes in my phone, but usually I work better if I have like real pen and paper notes. Some people don't. I know there's like several apps that you can get. I think one is Cozy. And then there's like just note apps probably on your phone. I have an iPhone, and so I have a notes app and I use it all the time. I think last I looked, I had like 2,500 notes. And I know that's crazy, but that goes back to years and years and years. And it's just things that I save all kinds of recipes and all kinds of things on there. So I'm going to hop right in here and tell you about my tips, my main tips that I have for being frugal and being the best steward of what you have available. Our food budget monthly, food and other items like household goods, is usually around $2,000. Sometimes it's not that much, sometimes it's a little more. It kind of varies, and usually it varies at the times that my husband gets paid bi-weekly, and we usually have more money towards the beginning of the month. The middle of the month is kind of stretched, but I end up going grocery shopping at the middle of the month just because it usually works out better. I may like break up our food budget for the bigger purchases, but nonetheless, I try to just be consistent with when I'm shopping and the places I shop. Now, I go to Aldi, and I am planning on going to Aldi one day this week, and I'm going to try to get my daughter to like film me in the store, because I could do a voiceover probably, but I just don't know that that will work out. But nonetheless, I'm going to take you guys with me when I go to Aldi, and we will either, I'll either just take video of being inside the store, or, maybe I'll have to do a voiceover. I don't know. I want to be careful to not to film other people, because I don't want to put anyone on the internet without their consent, because I just definitely don't agree with that. So, all right, let's hop into it. One of my first main tips for grocery shopping, grocery planning, menu planning, food planning, whatever you want to call it, is shopping your food storage first. Whether you have a large storage or whether you have a small storage of food, whatever you have on hand, go through those items first. Mark off what you have, what you don't have, what you're going to need, what you use the most of. Just keep a rolling list of that. But when you're getting ready to plan your menu or your shopping trip, go through and check and make sure. Like I had mentioned in my food pantry video, like at one time I was buying items that I didn't even know. Like I didn't know what I had, I didn't know what I didn't have, and I would think, oh, do I need this? And so I would throw it in, and I would end up with 4 or 5 of the same things. And sometimes there were not things that I could really preserve or even use, and so I would end up, they would go bad. But I had got to where I was just giving things away because I don't want anything to go bad. I don't want to waste stuff, but I mean, it happens. So definitely shop your food storage first. Make your meal plan according to what you have on hand. Like we eat the same things, and I get sick of just eating the same things over and over, but it is what it is, and I'm just trying to feed people and feed myself, and unfortunately I can't afford to buy like fancy steaks or maybe things that some of my family members would prefer. So we just have to eat what we have. But I try to make it a variety, which is one of my other tips, and I'm going to explain that in just a little bit. But I just definitely say make your meal plan according to the things you have on hand after you've shopped your food storage. And then the next thing is keep a running list of staple items. Have a list of the things that you use on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Like I know I have to buy coffee in our big shopping trip, or once a month I have to buy coffee. This month I was able to buy 2 months worth of coffee, so I won't have to buy coffee until probably Octoberish, if I'm fortunate. So if you're able, buy a few things ahead if you have the room to stock, especially of those staple items: salt, flour, sugar, whatever you use for sweeteners, just the things you use, your spices. I have an extensive spice collection, I guess you would say, and I just try to keep everything I need on hand. And it's took me years to buy up all this stuff, but I use it. And if I see that something is low and I see I've only have one more of an item, I will usually, if I'm able to, I'll just go ahead and buy a second one. Or like if I have 3 ketchups and I use a ketchup, then I will buy another ketchup just to replace it, so I'm not out. I try not to get down to where I have 0 of a particular item that I would consider a staple item. Also, I had mentioned in the pantry video about setting up a time, to set aside a time to chop up anything you can use that can be used in meals in the future. So if carrots are on sale, or if you buy carrots, or you buy celery, you buy onions, you buy bell peppers, whatever the case may be, you can take those things, you can chop it up, you can put them in your freezer. If you want to buy a whole chicken and boil, cook it and then debone it, and you get all the meat off different pieces, and you can throw that in your freezer and freeze it. You can throw those bones in there and save that up for stock, and then make your own broth. There's so many things you can do. So that is something that really has helped me, just because it's so much more convenient if I just have, like if I'm making a meal and I know that I'm going to need carrots and I'm going to need onions, if I've got those chopped up in the freezer, it is so much easier for me to mentally sit down and say, okay, this is what we're having. And then even if I'm in a pinch, if I have those main things on hand, I can just grab them, and it makes meal prep, like mealtime, so much easier. Because whether you think about it or not, chopping up things to me is just like, sometimes I would rather just go get something than sit and chop up a bunch of vegetables. Not that I'm above chopping up vegetables, I'm surely not, but it just seems like a big task some days, especially when I'm mentally, I've done had it, like with the day, and I may be like, oh no, now it's time for me to chop up all this stuff. So I always try to just put the time in, get that done, so that's ready to go when I need it. Something else I wrote down here is know your stores. Know the aisles, know how your store is laid out. If you're going inside the store and you're shopping with a list, write your grocery list according to the aisles in the store, so you aren't wandering up and down aisles looking for something. Because I guarantee, if you're wandering up and down aisles, if you're anything like me, you're going to see several other things that you don't really need, but they are appealing to you, and so you end up tossing them in the buggy. Or that's what I do. So if I have to go in, I make sure that my list is written according to the aisles. And I can just go in, go down the aisles. I know where I'm going. I get what I got to get, and I get out. And I never go shopping hungry. If I do, it never fails. I will come out with a buggy full of junk. And I'm not even a junk eater, but I will come out with just a bunch of mess that we really don't need and probably can't afford. But I'm hungry and it looks so good. Like one of my trips to Sam's here a few months back, I was starving, and all the food in Sam's really smelled good too. But I get in the aisle with all the like canned meats and tuna and all that stuff, and I come out with a case of Viennas. And you know what happened to those Viennas? They were nasty. They were nasty. I don't know if they were burnt or what, or if they're just gross anyway, but they were nasty. We ended up throwing like half the can away, half the case away, because they were just gross. We couldn't eat them. So my next really big tip is utilize grocery pickup if possible, and if you're comfortable with that, because it really does save time and it saves money for me. If I have to go in and shop, I'm likely going to buy things that maybe I don't necessarily need. But if I'm doing a grocery pickup, once it's on there, you have so long to add items, but it's still not like just shopping the aisles where, like I said, if you are going inside and you've got your aisle, your list made up according to the aisles, you just have to have self control and just do what you do and get your stuff and get out. But I love grocery pickup. It saves me so much time. And yes, I do get bad produce and stuff occasionally, but Walmart's really great. And so is Instant Cart, which is how if I do a pickup at Aldi, Instant Cart powers that. And they are both, Instant Cart and Walmart, are excellent about quick refunds. If you've got a problem, I mean, they handle it. And so that is another tip of mine. If you can do that, if you feel comfortable, use your grocery pickup. It really helps you because you can't impulse shop. Another thing is have a rotational food plan or a rotational menu, whatever you want to call it, that runs, 2 weeks at a time or 30 days at a time, with like a bonus meal for those months that have an extra day, if that's something you feel like you could do. And you can also make it seasonal. We're not going to have chili in July here in Alabama because it's going to be 100 degrees, so we don't want chili. So I try to cook our meals, base our meals on the temperature it is outside. And, I'm not going to cook a really thick, heavy, savory meal and it's 100 degrees. So if you've got your meals planned out, it's really great if you can just plan them out and have seasonal rotational meal plans. You can also do themed dinner nights. And I used to do this for years and years. I had a rotational 30-day menu plan, and the nights were themed. I don't remember what all. I know Friday was usually like pizza or something like that, but I would have different themes for different nights. And if you're really creative, you could even do a day, like a themed day, like every meal on a certain day could be Indian or Mexican or Mediterranean or American or whatever. That would be something really neat. I'm not that creative. I don't have that many meals in my arsenal. If I did, I would, though. That maybe that's a goal for me to aspire to reach. I don't know. I'm going to think about that. And having the same breakfast every day of the week on weekly rotation is also a good thing. So, like Fridays, and I haven't done it in a while, but once we're starting back to school, I'm going to plan to do it. Like Fridays will be pancakes, And I usually during the week, I do eggs and grits, egg sandwiches. We may occasionally have meat during the week, usually not for breakfast. We usually only have a breakfast meat when my husband's here, but we have oatmeal, different kinds of oatmeal, toast. There's all kinds of things. And sometimes my daughter will make muffins or cinnamon rolls. So we can do that too. Like those are all things that you could just have a set list of breakfast. And so your family knows on this day, this is what we're going to have for breakfast. And I just think that's very helpful to know and to always know what you're going to have. It really takes a lot of stress off the mom or whoever is planning the meals. Don't be afraid to try new recipes or even get creative and substitute certain things. Like, I'm thankful for the internet. I'm not like real big into AI, but I do use ChatGPT if I can't figure out things for like meals. But I Google it, I YouTube it. If I'm missing a spice or I'm missing something, or if I have a certain meat and I want to make a meal, I always just find ways to substitute in. And don't be afraid to do that, because ultimately, for the most likely, it's going to still taste fine. And the goal is just feeding your family. And if you're feeding your people and you're making the meals, you're one step ahead of taking them to the fast food restaurant where the food is definitely not going to be healthy for you. And if you do get something semi-healthy, I mean, it's going to be really expensive. And even the junk is really expensive. And I won't even get started on that. And use leftovers. Use leftovers for lunch. My family, they're not crazy about leftovers, but if we have spaghetti, if we have something that I feel is good for leftovers, we use it the next day. And if we don't, if it's something that's not good or it's not enough to be put up, it goes to our chickens. Our chickens eat it because I don't want to waste if I can help it. So those are really my tips. Those are my main tips on just planning out, a grocery shopping trip and planning your menu and how to keep that all in order. And also it helps, if you've got a menu and you want to just make your menu and put it up in the kitchen where people can see it, that really cuts down on people asking, hey, what are we having for XYZ meal? Because all they have to do, if they can read, is go look at that menu and they can see what you're going to have. That also cuts down on a lot of confusion and saves time with me because I'm not spending time telling people over and over, this is what we're going to have. I can just direct them to wherever the menu is hanging. So that's really all I have for you guys today. I do plan on, like I said, taking you with me to Aldi, and that will be one day this week. I'm not sure what day I'm going yet. I'm doing some deep cleaning. I have family coming in for the weekend, and I'm really excited about that, but I want to get my house nice and clean before they come because I don't want them to think that I live in a pigsty. No, I don't, but I feel like I do sometimes. So I have a lot of things to do this week, and I have several other videos that I want to get out to you guys. I really appreciate the support, and I appreciate all the new people that have subscribed to our channel. Like, we're just blown away, and we're so grateful and thankful that you're here. And I've received a lot of positive, kind comments, and I appreciate that as well. So if you're new, thank you so much for being here. And if you're not new, thank you for being here and sticking around. And I will see you guys in the next video. And as always, if anything I say here, if you enjoy it or you know anyone who would enjoy my content, please share my channel, share my videos, like, comment, whatever. I appreciate it all. And I look forward to talking to you guys in the comments. And I will see y'all on the next one.